What's up, the squad? Back with another video. Y'all see the titles going down. Make sure y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for me, please. Y'all see it right here. Let me tell y'all something. A lot of y'all know, most of y'all know, that it's not looking good when it comes down to the Obamas and other individuals on the left. And I definitely, it's something that's not surprising when it did, a lot of things, as things are coming out, I should say, because, I don't look at it as this is the only thing that's coming out. But you have here, it says a woman named Kathy Remler was one of the people who had the most communication with Epstein. She was White House counsel to Obama and advised Epstein during some of his most vulnerable moments. In the latest Epstein file dump, documents made public show that Kathy Remler exchanged over 300 emails with Epstein and had over more than 50 scheduled meetings with him well after his 2008 conviction. Of that child offender. So when it comes down to it, and just thinking about a lot that's been going on, you actually think about it. I truly feel as if, and this is me, obviously I know a lot of people feel different, ways about different situations, but me personally, having over 300 emails and having more than 50 scheduled meetings, I truly feel like she wasn't the only one that was in these meetings. As we looking at deeper, it says Remler, who served as Barack Obama's top legal advisor from 2011 to 2014, transitioned to private practice at Latham and Watkins before becoming Goldman Sachs chief legal officer. The unsealed documents detail over 300 emails involving Remler from 2008 to mid-2019, with her as a sender and at least 135. So when I tell you, it says here, critics argue that raises alarms about potential conflicts of interest, especially given her Obama-era role overseeing ethics and legal compliance at the White House. So again, a lot of this is definitely getting more odd and more odd. Says the relationship was also personal, with Remler calling Epstein Uncle Jeffrey in messages about gifts and outings. So, Uncle Jeffrey, been up under Obama, been around Obama. You got the meetings, you got a lot of stuff. Says the calendar show over 50 planned meetings between 2014 and 2019, including lunches, dinners, joint appointments, like a 2019 spa day. So when I tell y'all that I feel like this is one of the things, like you have to think about it this way. Just think about it this way, y'all. If a person, obviously this individual up under Obama, and you have an individual that is getting these emails out, you have a person that is and this is, I'm not saying that this happened. I'm just saying, just thinking about this. You have a person that's, having these emails out. You got a person that are, scheduling meetings. You having a lot of these, a lot of these things going on. And then you have this person showered with gifts. There's a number of things that could possibly be in play. But one of the main things, you having an Obama name in this. And it's truly, truly odd. This is posted by Benny Johnson. Said former Obama White House counsel Kathy Remler resigns from Goldman Sachs after newly recently released Epstein files show frequent communication. And it truly is frequent communication. It says John Brennan gave me CIA agency medal this morning. How cool is that? And this is from Kathy Remler to Jeffrey Epstein. Pretty wild. I'm not gonna lie. Check it out right here. This is Tim Burchett. Just went there on Obama. This is another post. This is Benny Johnson. This is posted by Gunther Eagleman, so y'all can go check that out. But check this out, right?
So the Kathy Remler is the big news this morning because she resigned from Goldman Sachs. She was Obama's personal White House attorney. Obama's the one who's like sort of skated on this, and nobody's really brought up his name. But wait a second, like the vast majority of Epstein's most heinous crimes took place while Barack Obama was president.
Yep.
Well, Jeffrey Epstein got out of jail right as Barack Obama was being put into office. And all of this stuff was going on, and it's his lawyers, the White House counsel, who's communicating with this pedophile, this convicted, sentenced pedophile, and she's like tee-hee-heeing, doing favors for him through Obama. Obama is like signing executive orders. You can like tie all this back. The Rothschild Bank, like he's like doing all this stuff, and he's like somehow like Obama's getting zero pushback on this? Why is nobody asking Obama, like, why didn't you do something about Jeffrey Epstein?
Exactly.
Because President Obama was created. He's not organic. I mean, you pick this obscure guy from college who has zero records. You have college professors that don't remember him ever being there. And he runs, and and all of a sudden people drop out of races, and he's unopposed, and he goes from a state senator to a U.S. senator to an unknown to being president of the United States because he was created. They found somebody that fit their mold. It's the classic. I went back and watched it a couple of days ago, the Brady Bunch, where Greg was wanting to be a great musician, and he was playing all this, like Jim Croce stuff or something. I don't know. And you look up who Jim Croce is. He was great. Bad.
Oh, yeah.
But he had some kind of ballads that were kind of romantic and sad, And so Greg's this guy, and he goes in and this record studio, and they're like, yeah, man, yeah, we're really digging what you're putting down, and then he says, and the lady, and it's very almost Epstein-ish, and she says, oh, I'm never wrong about these things. Well, the guy that they had, Johnny Bravo, had quit before they could make him a star, and they'd already bought his suit, and Greg fit that suit. And so then they tried to make him a rock, and he was going to be a rock star, but because of his, his slave to his art form or whatever, he couldn't do it, which is total bogus. Anybody given that opportunity would take that chance. But that's the way Obama was. He fit the suit, and he was he's a good-looking, articulate guy, and had a couple of kids, and came up through the corrupt Chicago machine, and you've got several in Congress that are just like that. Several, the squad. I mean, you had billionaires putting money behind probably 30 or 40 different candidates across the country, and they hit on a half, AOC. They hit on a bunch of them, and that's how they got there. And we got to start realizing this. And the conservatives just aren't good at creating anybody. I mean, we're all a mismatch of different backgrounds and everything, and somehow it tends to work occasionally. But here we are, one vote away from losing the majority. But back to the Epstein files, they were putting them out, and the media just for some reason wouldn't pay any attention to Comer and the oversight committee. We were doing it the right way. 20 or 30,000 pages, and it wasn't good enough.
Y'all can go check more out, on this Benny Johnson show. He typically goes on live a lot, with different guests, and I truly, love it and appreciate it. And I just look at the simple fact of why aren't, individuals questioning, and we kind of, know that answer with that when they're not questioning Obama about the situation that's going on. Definitely insane. You have another post here. This is Benny Johnson. Talks about Barack Obama's ties, to Jeffrey. And there's a lot that he talked about. Check it out.
Barack Obama's not in the Epstein files. What are you talking about? You clearly have no idea what you are talking about. Barack Obama's personal lawyer, Catherine Rumler, White House counsel. This is arguably the most powerful lawyer in the world. She served the entire time Barack Obama was president. She was splitting her time with Jeffrey Epstein. They shared a lawyer. Catherine Rumler here has emailed Jeffrey Epstein 12,000 times. In fact, she was the person who emailed Jeffrey Epstein the most. And what did she email Jeffrey Epstein? Tee-hee-hee, thanks for all the gifts, Jeffrey, calling him my wonderful Jeffrey, Uncle Jeffrey. Dinner dates, travel, trips, her passport. She was made with Jeffrey Epstein. She got set up in the Rothschilds Bank and then Goldman Sachs. She got set up on Wall Street by Jeffrey Epstein. She even set up Jeffrey Epstein with Barack Obama, or at least they tried. You can see at the United Nations, they were trying to make it work. Catherine Rumler has resigned out of humiliation over these revelations. She said you didn't know who Jeffrey Epstein was. Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted pedophile. This happened in 2008. That's the first year, by the way, that Barack Obama was in office. 2009, Jeffrey Epstein gets out of jail, and then he immediately becomes best friends with Catherine Rummler, Barack Obama's lawyer. Here's an exchange where Jeffrey Epstein says that Catherine Rummler is a perfect lawyer for me because she's a feminist and because she's loved by Hillary Clinton and Obama. This is Jeffrey Epstein's own text message. Hillary Clinton, that's a little weird. Let's see, isn't she like
definitely is weird.
The spirit cooking John Podesta, creepy, connected to all of this? Yeah, it's that dark. Just a reminder that these people, they have these squeaky clean images of themselves. There's never been a scandal with Barack Obama. No, man. Barack Obama was in on it.
I'm telling y'all, and the crazy thing is, like, listen to Benny say this. I don't know if y'all remember there, just the last situation that happened. I know y'all remember, I went over a lot of videos with the chef. Things like this with a lot, I'm telling y'all, it gets swept up under the rug. And I truly, truly hate that. I truly hate that. And that's why I want them to stay on top of it. That's why I'm glad that myself and others, Benny Johnson and other individuals are on top of it as well. Because this, I don't want to just be, again, something that's just swept up under the rug.
It's not just Catherine Rummler that was sharing with Jeffrey Epstein. His Treasury Secretary, Larry Summers, in the documents. You can see it all laid out. The entire Obama administration, this was like Jeffrey Epstein's heyday. And if you're still sitting there being like, well, Obama never went to the island or whatever, we're just going to forget all of his creepy personal life stuff. Ask yourself this. Why didn't Barack Obama ever prosecute Jeffrey Epstein? Why did they never have any interest in going after Epstein? It was only Trump who signed an executive order day one against human trafficking and put Jeffrey Epstein back in prison where it belonged. Just a question.
And people get on my nerves talking about, oh, well, Trump, he's just trying to save himself and he's trying to do this and do that. No, what President Trump is doing what's right. Just like he made that phone call and called the police when it came down to it, what Jeffrey Epstein was about. It's a lot of that stuff, but then you have so many individuals that's trying to put everything on President Trump, knowing you see a whole list of different individuals. I'm telling y'all, definitely wild. This is a post by Scott Jenny. Says Trump's DOJ just released 3.5 million Epstein docs. Many of them now face tough questions. Check it out.
Stand on, and I really have real questions for anybody who is trying to obfuscate or diminish what's actually going on here. And again, Scott, you keep saying, well, he didn't do anything. There's no indication of criminality. If that's true, he should be elated that we're putting these things out.
It's not if that's true. It is true. Can you name any evidence?
I would like to see the evidence. What I'm saying is...
You think after 10 years of public life, you wouldn't know it already?
No, I don't. That's exactly the point.
Oh, my goodness.
Scott,
this is an IQ test. Don't fail it. Come on, man.
Scott,
10 years Donald Trump has been in public life.
That's embarrassing.
Scott, it is an IQ test. I mean, for 10 years, we haven't heard any names. So you really think that no one's involved?
No, obviously. Larry Summers was involved. Stacey Plaskett was involved. There's all kinds of people involved with Jeffrey Epstein.
If someone was involved, we would know about it. They would be prosecuted. It would be done and dusted. The last 10 years, no one has been prosecuted for this. Is that a sign that nothing has happened?
No, absolutely not.
So then why are you saying that is the case for Trump?
Question directly to him is, if you think after 10 years, 3 presidential campaigns, and Democrats unleashing holy hell on him, you wouldn't know about it?
No, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Biden's DOJ did everything to bankrupt Trump, to put him in jail for 4 years. Don't you think that if there was any kernel of anything that they found troubling in those documents, we would know? They did everything else they could to weaponize the DOJ.
I don't believe
Why,
that.
if they had that smoking gun, would they have not released it?
Because there was outstanding appeals on Ghislaine Maxwell's case that resolved.
I feel like, truly, I'm not even gonna lie, I feel like regardless, things can come out to where a person can do something so horrible when it comes down, to these individuals. You got the name of Bill Clinton, Obama's counsel, Hakeem Jeffries. You have these different names, right? Things can come out of more of what these individuals did, and they'll still try to find some type of excuse to defend these individuals. I'm telling y'all. me personally, if stuff comes out, real evidence, real things, documents, pictures, and I don't care who it is, wrong is wrong, right is right. If you're in the wrong, then you're wrong. I'm telling y'all, that's just how I feel. That's how I am. I don't care who you are. That's just how I feel. Telling y'all, says want to know who is, in these files. I mean, just looking and seeing who, Obama gave these medals to. I'm telling y'all, all you need to know. Truly, truly insane. You got Bill Clinton, you got Oprah, you got Ellen in here. I'm telling y'all, it's definitely insane. Definitely insane. Just going over some of the names, that's in here. You have so many. I mean, with Joe Biden, Jeff Bezos, I see Kurt Cobain, you seeing Jay-Z, and it says here, look at all the of the left, on X raging over PDJT and documents unrelated to Epstein. Says here, but zero for Obama, Clinton, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Jay-Z, Alex Soros, telling y'all Ron Paul. It's a lot of individuals, that's on here, and it's pretty wild. You see how many people is outraged, about this, so many people that have put out that President Trump name. My little sister, she was over here yesterday. And she's like, she was, they brought up, the files and she was talking to me. And she was like, I was like, yeah. And I was just talking about it. And she was like, yeah, but Trump, and again, with my parents being, obviously, you see JB Pritzker on here too. With my parents being on here, not being on here. My parents wasn't on here. When my parents being, on the left, and being Democrats, they hear a lot of that often, about President Trump and about the Trump administration and this and that. So, and I let her know. And I told her, and I'm like, a lot of these things, when it comes down to it, different individuals that have been on the island and this, that, and the other, and she was cutting me off and said, there's no button there. And I'm like, I'm not. Just hear me out about this. And as I'm talking to her and letting her know about a lot of these things, is one of those things of, you can't sit there and be like, oh, Trump did that, Trump, and then have Trump's name all in it, but then don't hold, the other party, the other individuals accountable for it. And that's what I don't like. Not to mention, President Trump, again, this is an individual that has, called, on Epstein. This is an individual that signed that executive order. I mean, these are things, that I truly don't understand out of people. A lot of this is because of the hatred towards President Trump. There's so many lies and so many things that's untold, so many things that's hidden, that is literally insane to me. And I truly just, I don't like it. You have it right here. It's Reverend Jordan Wells, and y'all can go find him. This at Wells, Georgia, 89710, or just look up Reverend Jordan Wells. Y'all see it. Says, why they obsess over Trump Epstein smears but ignore Clinton, Obama ties, Jay-Z bombshells, while Trump delivers record economy, low gas, low crime, and sealed borders. Says Jay-Z names popping up in the latest Epstein file dumps, mentions FBI tips from years ago, including unverified allegations of being present. Pretty wild. No charges, no evidence, plus serious accusations tied to Diddy scandals. Oh, this is pretty intense. I can't read everything, but y'all can go find this Reverend Jordan Wells. It says Bill Clinton's frequent mentions and flights, even Obama-era figures, connections, servicing, and the massive documentary released. Why the double standard? I'm telling y'all, it's a lot of that. Definitely a lot of that. This is no excuse. Says gas prices crushed to lows not seen in years. National average around $2.89 a gallon as early as February 2026, dipping under $2.80 in many areas, way below last year's levels. Crime dropping record lows, especially in places that typically have that high crime. Borders finally closed. You have negative net migration for the first time in decades. Estimates from negative 10,000 to negative 295,000 in 2025. Mass deportations underway. I mean, there's so many things, and this is not to say this is something that you truly have to where it's like, oh, this is my cover. All this has happened, that President Trump is doing. Why do y'all continue to say this? Is more so of y'all see President Trump actually doing stuff and doing work. Now y'all ready to smear his name and talk crazy and say this, say that, when obviously we see who the problem is. You know what I mean? And it's definitely very sad. Make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Definitely appreciate y'all. Stay tuned for more videos. Comment down below what y'all think. Catch y'all next one.